Hi guys and welcome back. My name is Declan and I'm the owner of Take Action Fitness Online. So in today's episode, we're going to be discussing one of the most important phases of your transformation journey. And that phase is known as the maintenance or lifestyle phase. Now this phase is kind of like the unsung hero. Everybody always talks about fat loss and getting in shape, calorie deficits, but nobody talks about the part which actually enables you to stay in shape. And this happens to be one of the most limiting factors within all transformation journeys and within the fitness industry as a whole. Everybody in some capacity knows how to lose X amount of weight. However, we all know somebody, potentially even yourself, who's struggled to keep that weight off long term. So let's get stuck into the key areas of what is a maintenance phase, when do you start it, and how does it actually work? So essentially this maintenance phase is what ties everything together. And in my opinion, without this maintenance phase, the fat loss phase is kind of irrelevant. Because what's the point of losing 10, 20, 30 kilos plus of body fat if you're just going to regain it all again? So what this maintenance phase does is enable you to keep that hard-earned fat loss off and enables you to stay in shape long term. So now obviously this maintenance phase comes in at the back end of your fat loss phase. Now what you do in a fat loss phase is going to be somewhat unsustainable. Nobody can sustain a calorie deficit. And there's going to be other elements in there, whether that's your steps, your cardio, or your workouts, which also you may not be able to sustain long term. So how does it work? Now obviously at the back end of the fat loss phase, you're in that deficit. So calories are low and no doubt output is high. So what we're trying to do now is establish a range where you're going to be comfortable with long term. For most people, this range will vary somewhere between 2 to 4 kilos. Like I said, depending on where you feel most comfortable or how much weight or body fat you have lost. The goal now is to take you out of that deficit and progressively build you back up. So it's kind of like a reverse into a maintenance, where we slowly build your calories back up out of that deficit and build you back towards a maintenance level where you're now going to stabilize your weight. Now for most people, this is where they freak out and they think they're going to gain all this weight back. We're not putting you yet into any kind of surplus. And we typically do that in increments somewhere between 100 to 200 calories per week. Now this is going to vary depending on the accuracy of you and how meticulous you can be on a week-to-week basis, and also depending on how extreme you've gone within your fat loss phase. So whether you've gone super low body fat, then maybe we might push the calories up a little bit more aggressively. However, if it's been a nice steady fat loss phase, again, you're in a comfortable position post-fat loss, then things will likely be incremented on a slower basis. The more accurate you can be coming out of a fat loss phase, the more rewarding it can be, both from maintaining a good level of body composition and having more calorie flexibility and freedom. Now, the other area that's going to dictate that is also going to be your level of output, so steps, cardio, and other workouts. Now, as I said, you may have had to really push yourself to get to the back end of your fat loss phase. You could have been doing 8,000, 10,000, 12, 15,000 plus steps. Now, if you're on the higher end of that, the chances are completing 15,000 steps per day moving forward, again, isn't going to be sustainable. So once we've managed to get your calories back to a maintenance level, then we're going to start to change and alter some of those other variables to put you back into a more sustainable position. So it might be slowly taking your steps down from 15 down to 12 and eventually down to, let's say, 10,000 steps. And likewise with your workouts. So you may have had to chuck in some additional cardio to enable you to get to your best result. Now you're in a position where you could really do with cutting back on one of those sessions. So maybe your week now looks like 3 workouts, 1 cardio, as opposed to 3 workouts and 3 cardios, just as an example. So as you can see, we're now trying to look for that sustainability. We're now trying to create this into a lifestyle change and not just a fat loss quick fix. And all of this stuff takes time. Just like it took you time to shift that unwanted body fat, it's now going to take time to learn how to stabilize this weight and stabilize this body composition that you're happy with, and ultimately learn all the tools needed to stay in shape long term. This is a whole different ball game. So you're still going to have to understand now with this calorie flexibility, how to navigate things like social events, holidays, stressful busy weeks at work, getting injured, getting sick. All of this stuff, again, you're going to now have to recalibrate back at this maintenance calorie range. We're not going to do this overnight. It's not going to be a quick jump up in calories. We're going to scrap back your steps. We're going to stop tracking and monitoring food. All of this stuff is a progressive fashion, again, allowing you to get more and more confident and comfortable seeing your weight hold and stabilize within a certain range, even with social events or certain things within your diary, that you're still in a position where you can control and manage your routine, and therefore the outcome being that you can control and manage both your weight and that body composition that ultimately makes you look and feel at your best. Hopefully you found that useful and helpful, just to give you a bit more insight as to what actually happens after fat loss and how hopefully you can now actually see yourself keeping this weight off and staying in shape for life. Any questions, drop them in the comment section below. And as always, if you're not already following me on Instagram, head over to @TA Fitness Online. Make sure to click the follow button.